If you've been looking at alternatives to Discord, you may have stumbled upon a service called Matrix. Matrix is almost like a decentralized Discord with some of its own quirks. I have my own community on Matrix, and it's linked down in the description if you want to see how it looks and check it out. Now that said, clicking that link may show you actually need a program installed for viewing that group, but there isn't a Matrix app like there is a Discord app, so what gives? Well, basically, Matrix takes the opposite approach to Discord. Instead of having one official app and not allowing third-party clients through the terms of service, Matrix instead has exclusively third-party clients, with the most well-known being Element. Element is a good client if you're new to the service. It isn't quite as well organized as I would like personally, though on mobile it's definitely one of the best options despite that. If you take a look at the webpage for Element, you can actually see that it actually has every platform you could think of supported, along with a web browser version for anything else. The application will list your spaces, which are Matrix answer to servers on Discord. Over on the left-hand side, each space gets its own drop-down menu for if they have other spaces within them, almost like how you can have folders instead of folders on your computer. Within these spaces are rooms, which are like channels in Discord. You can share in these rooms messages, images, videos, emojis, pretty much everything any other chat client could possibly have, with some caveats. Matrix is a protocol, similar to how email is a protocol. You don't join Gmail to talk with other Gmail users. You don't have to make a Yahoo account to email other Yahoo users. All email services talk with each other and can communicate. Matrix is the same. All of the apps, regardless of who made them or how they're set up, can all talk to each other together. This, however, can have some drawbacks, namely that the Matrix spec is very slow to adopt new features. The most obvious of these are video calls and custom emotes. At the moment, the way to do video calls and voice calls is to either have a widget inside of Element that can use a service called Jitsi to do video calls, which is a great little service if you want to have something that's more akin to an alternative to Skype for your video calls. These widgets, however, aren't supported on every Matrix client, and even on the same client, not on every platform. The best example for this that I can give is, again, Element. On desktop and on the web browser, widgets work perfectly regardless of if you're on Windows, if you're on Mac, if you're on Linux, if you're on something else and you're just using the web browser version. All of them work just fine with all the widgets. If you're on iOS or Android though, widgets just are not a thing. Now, there is a replacement that's being worked on by Element that should fix this, but no one knows how long it'll take. There's a beta you can use. It's the Element Calls feature is what it's called. I believe the URL is calls.element.io, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have it linked in the description if you want to try that out as a video call service. Emotes are another example. There is a merge request for a spec improvement to have custom emojis universally, and the merge request is basically completed. There's really not much else that needs to be done to it. However, it still has not been merged into the spec, leaving it up to client developers if they want to implement it. At the time of recording, I only know of 3 that fully support it, which are Schlitty Chat, Cine, and Fluffy Chat. Element has support on desktop, but not on mobile. However, I personally haven't been able to figure out emotes in Element. Maybe I'm just missing the setting, and if someone knows, leave a comment down below. And hey, while you're down there, make sure to like and subscribe to this video if you enjoy these sort of weird rabbit holes that I go down. This problem of having some clients having features others don't have makes convincing people to give Matrix a try much more difficult than it needs to be, which is why I usually tell people to use Element on your phone and then something else on desktop. Like Cine. Cine is my go-to. It's an open source Matrix client that works in your browser, letting it run on basically any operating system relatively well. Mobile has some kinks with notifications, but the desktop experience is, for the most part, fantastic. If you're on a computer or a laptop, all you have to do is open your browser of choice and go to cine.in and then log into your Matrix account or make a new one. I'll have another video about making a Matrix account sometime in the future, but the quick overview is that you just pick a home server, which the default one, matrix.org, will work fine for the majority of people. Put in an email, put in a password. Nothing too crazy once you get past whatever a home server is, and again, just stick to the default matrix.org and you'll probably be fine. For people on Linux, you actually have two options for Cine. You can use the browser, just like any other PC user, but there's also a Flatpak version, which is kind of cool. Functionally, they're basically the same, it's solely whatever you prefer. Once you're logged in, you'll see how things are organized. On the left, you'll have any spaces you have pinned, which you can pin spaces to your sidebar. They don't automatically go there, you get to choose how you organize it. Now, Matrix spaces are still a newer feature, so older rooms were all single topic communities rather than communities with multiple topics. So rather than joining, say, a Dungeons and Dragons server on Discord and having DM area, player area, cleric area, such and such, so forth, this section for looking for games, this section for scheduling conferences, you had D&D room, and every conversation was about D&D just all in one room. Kind of chaotic, but also more akin to some older chat services like IRC, which initially Matrix was designed to replace. Now, however, if you go into a space, you'll either have a list of rooms, a list of spaces, or a combination of the two. In my space, I have spaces within the main space called either subspaces or nested spaces, depending on what client you're using. And I have them set up to line up with the topics I have on Discord. And a room within the subspaces to match the rooms within those subspaces are lined up to match the channels within my Discord server. By default, Matrix spaces will open and show all subspaces, and then you will open the subspace to see the rooms. This isn't a bad design, but it takes more clicks to go between subspaces, which can get annoying if you constantly swap between them. However, in Cine, if you go back to the main space, you can click this little setting at the top and choose this setting called Organize Subspaces. What this does is it combines your rooms and your spaces all into one list with drop-down menus. This is very similar to another service that you may be familiar with, and it's a much better design if you're constantly flipping through rooms that are in different subspaces. Along with what is, in my opinion, a better organization, Cine has other features that many Matrix clients lack, such as the custom emotes that I mentioned earlier. Some other clients like Fluffy Cheddar Element can use them too. Again, I haven't personally figured out how to do it in Element. If someone knows, I'm not even kidding. I'm saying this a second time. Please let me know in the description because I want to figure this out. And again, on Element, iOS and Android, there is no emotes. You'll have to use something else. If you have any sort of a YouTube or Twitch channel and you have a community around that, you will be very aware just how popular emotes are. And they're usually a selling point for things like Twitch subscriptions and YouTube memberships. With Cine, you'll be able to make your own custom emote packs that you can use in your community spaces, just like you would on Discord. Unlike Discord, however, where you need to have a paid Nitro subscription to use emotes in all servers, Cine only requires that you're using a Matrix client that supports the same emote standard that you are, which that is to say, the spec implementation that I mentioned earlier. So say you manage to figure out emotes on Element, which I'm fairly certain are the same emote standard, you'll be able to use emote packs you made in Cine with no problem, and Fluffy Chat with no problem. Totally no issue between those. Now, why isn't this supported in every Matrix client, or in the Matrix protocol itself? I have no idea. My best guess is that the user base for Matrix is still a majority of more technical users that have typically preferred the single subject chat rooms like IRC, though this is gradually changing even if it does feel like it's at a snail's pace. But again, this is just a guess. I have no idea how to actually know. This is just the best inference I can make. In addition to emotes, you can also make sticker packs in stuff like Cine, which I believe are actually fully supported in all Matrix clients. If I'm wrong about this, you know where to correct me. I do think it's a little strange to support stickers first and then emotes, because everywhere I've seen, emotes are more popular by a wide margin than stickers. But I mean, hey, I'll take what I can get. The Cine client itself has your usual customization. It's got 4 preset themes, which are light, silver, dark, which is an oddly familiar looking color scheme, and Butter, which is a very weird name for a theme, but it's actually cool looking. It's like a really dark gray with a slight yellow tint. I'll probably show it on screen right now. This is typically my go-to theme if I'm using Cine's Flatpak. If I'm using the web app, I usually have it installed as a PWA and then have Dark Reader on it so I can make it a proper black theme. Cine has most of your usual room management and organization settings, though a few settings here and there are missing or just not implemented yet, such as changing an unencrypted room to being encrypted. Though these are missing settings, they're extremely minor and the majority of users will probably never need them. If you do, you can always just log in on Element, fix up what settings you need to, and then log back into Cine. Not the greatest solution, but it's something I've only ever had to do once or twice the entire time I've ever used Matrix. Now, with all these features and tools and really neat functionality, why has no one ever heard of Cine before? Or even Matrix in general? Think about it. Most of the people you talk to haven't heard of things like Skype, they've heard of Discord, hell, they may have even heard of Guilded. But no one has heard of Matrix, despite the fact that it's a thriving project that has a good user base. Why has no one heard of this? I think this can be summed up in one point, and that is just a lack of exposure. Matrix doesn't have a marketing team, or advertisers, or big Silicon Valley investors, or any of that. And if the service Cine is built for isn't well advertised, why would anyone know of the client for it either? And this isn't to say that Matrix is perfect by any means and that everyone should swap to it. It's got its own fair share of issues. For starters, Matrix doesn't have roles that you can assign and ping, which can be really annoying if you have, say, a Twitch or YouTube community with different subsets in the same space or server. It does have a permission system, but it's a very technical one. Users can be assigned a power level between 1 and 100, and rooms can be limited to certain power levels. Users are usually 1, mods 50, and the server owner 100. Though you can set custom levels that are higher or lower than 100, there usually isn't much need for this, in my experience at least. The lack of roles does make community management a pain, as, for example, you can't ping at mods if you notice someone breaking the rules, or have an at alerts pings for YouTube bots. Bots in general are also quite scarce, with most of the ones available being simple RSS reader bots or GitHub bots. There are some more that have more features and can be more useful for more people, but I personally don't have much of a need for an RSS bot or a bot that just grabs info and shares it. I want something that's a little bit more interactive, and they just don't exist yet. Plus, you usually need to self-host these bots, with a handful of exceptions. That's a whole other mess that I don't want to get into. And while this is annoying for sure, the bigger issue for me is actually the emote side of things. Custom emotes are just such a big deal for online communities. The fact that I have to specify to people what to use in order to get the emotes makes it just a friction point that shouldn't exist. And I know it sounds nitpicky and stuff and be like, oh, just get over it, it's a good service and all that stuff. It is a good service, but there are just a lot of little friction points like that personally bother me. I think the service could be better. I want the service to be better. I want more people to use it. I just think that we need to make it a little bit easier to onboard. It's so close. It is so close. Signing up for Element is one of the easiest things I've ever signed up for in terms of like an open source or decentralized project. It's fantastic, but the different clients need better explanation and need to be more consistent with features. None of this is to say you won't have a good community experience on Matrix. In fact, you can have a fantastic community experience on Matrix. The reason emotes are so important is because it helps tie together those communities. Emotes are usually related to some sort of in-joke the community is aware of, and you can get those. You just have to specify, hey, these are the clients that can use it, these are the ones that can't. If you can get over the minor gripes like the slightly longer loading time when you get over figuring out which clients you need to get emotes and stuff. Once you get all past that, you can have a pretty good limitations, provided you're able to work around its limitations. All I'm here to do is shine a bit of a light on an alternative that is desperately needed in this space. And while there are other alternatives such as Guilded and Revolt, which are both more of a one-to-one experience to Discord, they're both either not open source or still pretty early in development. Revolt doesn't even have a proper mobile app yet of any kind, and while you can use the website on mobile fairly easily, that still isn't ideal. If you download the mobile app from the Google Play Store, it's just a web app. To wrap things up, Matrix is an incredible project that I would love for more people to try and use and bring more variety and communities to a more open platform. However, it's held back by a lack of community-focused features, it's slow to adopt changes and improvements, and it just has slightly too many friction points for onboarding new people who are not more technical users. And while, yes, these things are problems, I still highly recommend that you check it out. You try it out. Try to be the person in your friend group that starts bringing people in, or in your community and bringing people in. See if maybe some smaller creators that you watch or hang out with or in their Discords, see if they'd be willing to let you start up a Matrix group for it, or if they would start up a Matrix group. There are bots to bridge them together. I use one myself. You can check it out again, link in the description. But that's where I'm going to end today's video. If you're still curious about sitting in Matrix in general, I have my own link down below. You can check it out and see what you think. And while you're there, be sure to like the video if you liked it, punch the subscribe button, kick the bell, and check out all my links to all my socials down in the description. Thank you all so much for watching, and I swear I won't take months to do another video. Peace out.